All right, good morning, everybody. Todd Ferguson here with Accelerators Organization. We've got some questions to do our mentor session with. Again, you guys can ask these through the portal. You just go in through the website link that Sean has given you or in your app, and there's a place to ask a question. And so it's really just a great place to get experience shares from people that have built multi-million-dollar businesses, that have struggled potentially with some of the same things that people struggle with, and just to get different perspectives from other entrepreneurs. And so that's the great thing about AO, is being able to ask a question and potentially get 5 to 8, maybe 10 different people answering the same question with different perspectives and different viewpoints. And then you figure out what works best for you. So we're going to go through these. As always, if you have asked a question or if you haven't and it doesn't make sense, feel free to reach out to me through Facebook Messenger. You can just DM me and we can kind of go from there. So the first question comes from Kristen Lander. So her question is how many months of operating expenses should a business keep on hand? So the business description and background says, I purchased an existing business and have a lot of debt associated with the purchase. I'm lucky that I don't need to pay myself from this business. Her personal expenses are covered from other businesses that she owns. So I want to pay off the debt as fast as possible within 4 years, if not sooner, while not putting the business in jeopardy with less than ideal cash on hand. I recognize that there are many factors in play and that it may be different for each business. Just curious what mentors recommend or feel comfortable with their own businesses. So you're exactly right, Kristen. It does vary from business to business, even business type. So for you, you're more of a service-based business, whereas most of the stuff, one of my businesses, my main business is inventory-based. And so I have a different philosophy than my service-based business. And so most financial people that you're going to talk to will generally suggest that you keep 3 to 6 months of operating expenses. So that's everything to cover anything that you need in your business. So that's payroll, that's rent, that's utilities, that's taxes, that's all that kind of stuff. And so 3 to 6 months. Now, as you grow and your business expands, you have opportunities. Oftentimes, I have personally found that it's better for me to invest that cash at times to get a return. And so that's just where your risk tolerance comes into play, and that's where you have to figure out what works out best for you. But a general rule of thumb is just 3 to 6 months. And as you guys do this, though, I hope that anybody that has a savings account or they're putting money aside on the operating expenses, that they're not just leaving it in their checking account. Right now, you can get, most banks will give you 4 to 5, sometimes 5.5% return on your investment inside of a savings account. So hopefully you're being smart with your money. You're moving that to a interest-bearing savings account and you're not touching it if you really are using that for living expenses. But as you grow, you're going to find a number that you're comfortable with. Just having in your bank account just kind of gives you some peace of mind. And then that just goes with your risk tolerances. Where do you want to invest that? And so, yeah, your money may be sitting in that savings account if you just want it to sit there. And so at 5%, but I know for me personally, like I can go out and buy product, invest that, and potentially in the next 3 to 6 months get 100 or 200% return on my investment. And so that's just where having an outsourced CFO, somebody that looks at your books, that is aligned with your values and kind of knows what you want and can give you some feedback and advice, you can talk to them. And so that would be something, if you don't have an outsourced CFO, would be something to consider. But just 3 to 6 months is kind of a good starting point, and then you'll know as you start to go through things. It also depends on how quick you can generate income. So, if you're in a service-based business, do you have to acquire new customers? Can you add another service to recoup some of that money if you invest it? Whereas for me, I just have to go out and sell more product, sell the things that I have, find other things to sell. And so again, like I said, it depends, but that'll give you a good starting point. As always, you know how to reach me, Kristen. All right, next question comes from Erica. Erica says, how do I organize my work day effectively? So business description says, I've tried creating systems from scratch, but it's very hard. I believe it's hard because I'm not aware of the tools that are effective in a successful business. And if I am, I'm unaware within myself. I want to know how to prioritize the important things in the business so that I can feel that I'm making 1% progress each day. And right now I feel lost. Honestly, most people I think have went through this feeling or this scenario or this portion of their life. And even the people that are on my management team, my leadership team, I coach them on this, is knowing where to start. And so there are 3 tools that I would suggest that you use. The first one is called the Eisenhower Matrix. And if you don't know what that is, Google it. I know Sean talks about it a lot, but it's basically just like a lowercase t to be kind of simple. And it has 4 different quadrants. And as you plan out your day or your week or however you do it, you move things that are going in that quadrant. So like the top left, I think, is urgent and important. So that's stuff that you have to get done now. And then your top right is urgent but not important, or important but not urgent, sorry. And then you just kind of go through that, and there's stuff that you can schedule, there's stuff that you can delegate, and then there's stuff that you delete. So the stuff you delete is not urgent, not important, like it doesn't matter at all. Then there's stuff that's important but not urgent, or urgent but not important. And so you can go through that. Google Eisenhower matrix. That would be the first thing to help you organize your day. The second thing I would suggest is, if you're not using a calendaring system, you're setting yourself up for failure. And so it took me years and years to figure that out. I oftentimes let the day happen to me, and I did not schedule out things. And more often than not, when I schedule things out, I do calendar invites. It's on my calendar, it gets done. And so I use Google Calendar. You can use whatever you want. I know people that still use pen and paper. I know people that use Outlook. I know people that use all types of stuff. Use whatever works for you, but a calendar system. And if you have a team, get them on that. If you want your family on it, get them on that too. Like my daughter knows when she has something planned, softball or cheerleading or whatever, she puts it on the calendar and invites me. So that way my entire day, week, and month, I can really see them at a glance. The third thing, that has worked out well for us in our business, and my managers use it too, is something called Motion. So it's called usemotion.com, I think is the website. But basically Motion it's an AI tool. And once you put in all your scheduled stuff in your calendar, so maybe you have a to-do list that you make the night before, or maybe you have your to-do list that you make in the morning, you're gonna put all that stuff into Motion, and it automatically, you rank it by importance, how long it's gonna take you, and the AI tool, portion of that, finds space in your calendar and tells you when to do it. And so for me, it has kept me on track and my team on track, and we've been way more efficient and gotten stuff done that needs to get done. Because I don't know about you, if you've ever made a list, at the end of the day, you're thinking, what the hell did I get done? That's a frustrating feeling. And so those are 3 tools that I would really tell you to start using: is the Eisenhower matrix to determine what you need to do right now, Google Calendar for me, or just a calendaring system, and then Motion. All right. Next question comes from Erica again. It says, how do you reignite day one within yourself so that you can get back to the day one grind? It says, I'm looking for a way to cultivate passion again moving forward in my week. I'm searching to recreate that feeling that drives you to do more than you thought you could. So a lot of that goes back to being productive. And so when we don't feel productive, like your first question, we oftentimes, or at least I do anyway, my experience is I've gotten a little complacent, unsure, not confident, however you want to talk about it. And so the more you can build momentum with the things that you know you need to get done, the better you feel. The more progress you make, the more things you're going to see, the more sales you're going to make, the more contacts you're going to make, the more progress you're going to make on whatever you're doing. And so for me, it's really getting organized is the first thing. The second thing is, we talked about calendaring. The first question that you had is to really set aside time for you, not for your family, not for your friends, but for you. And you figure out what you need to do to recharge, whether that's going outdoors and running, whether that's riding motorcycles or shooting guns or whatever it is. It doesn't matter, but to schedule that time, preferably weekly, and do that and keep that very sacred. Maybe you just want to go out and meditate, maybe whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But when you schedule that time and you keep that sacred, it usually for me has allowed me to kind of reset and recharge. Because oftentimes, if you talk to me, most times I'm going to tell you that I love to work. Like, what are your hobbies, Todd? I like to work. It's not always healthy. And yes, there is that passion in us as entrepreneurs to always want to work and always want to do things. But long term, we're going to burn out. And so I just had this conversation with Sean probably a month ago about how I was burnt out, how I just felt blah. And so you're going to go through those cycles and through those emotions as an entrepreneur. There's going to be things, when you're starting out and you're brand new, you're going to have all this fire and this passion and, these pie in the sky kind of dreams that are possible. But then when you get into your business and you get into the day of it and you start about financing, you start talking about HR and handbooks and all this other stuff that nobody's really taught you before, it does get overwhelming. But when you can organize your day, when you have an organization like AO that you can ask questions to, and you have members and mentors that can help you because they've all been there, then that's the support that you should lean on. So hopefully that helps, Erica. All right, next question comes from Jennifer. Jennifer asks, I'm considering applying for small business grants to keep my business afloat until it becomes profitable. What is your experience? Is there anything I should be aware of or to look out for? So honestly, Jennifer, I do not have any experience with grants. So I can't personally speak to that. The thing that I would, when I read your question, the thing that pops out to me is that you want to keep your business afloat, and that is the initial stages. There's just the stages at the beginning that you have to overcome to actually be profitable and then remain profitable. And so I would just ask you is how much time you're potentially going to spend on these grants. I know oftentimes from what I've seen in the past and people that I know that have applied for grants, it's a very strenuous process. It's a lot of bureaucratic red tape that you have to go through. And oftentimes the amount of time that you are spending working on getting a grant either takes away from your business or doesn't produce the results that you need and is not an income producing activity. And at the beginning stages of your business, that's what you need is you need activities that produce income. You need people that produce income. And so a grant is not an income. I mean, if you get it, great. But often, I don't know what type of grants there are for. I think you have a gallery, an art gallery. I don't know what type of grants there are for that. But for me personally, I've never been afraid of debt. And so if you use it wisely and you have a business plan and you know how you can turn that debt into income, then that's something you can do. And oftentimes debt is more accessible than grants. Now, yes, you'd have to pay it back, but that also means you have skin in the game. You're potentially going to work harder. It's just like if you think of a grant, or the way I do, is grants are great, but if you don't have any skin in the game and you don't have to pay it back, it's like when you give your family member something for free. Maybe you have a coaching business and you're charging everybody else, $1,500 to go through this course, and you give it to a family member for free because they need it, and then yet they do nothing with it. So just use that as advice. Hopefully some other mentors have some experience with grants, but just look at your time, how much you're spending, what you're getting in return. All right. Last question comes from Kelly. Kelly says, would a signatory to an operators union be a smart move for my company? So the business description says, I've been researching the pros and cons of going signatory. It seems the companies that aren't unionized hate unions, and the ones that are unionized love unions. I have an option to be able to open hire for the first year after I sign. There's a shit ton of work coming to my local area. It's all signatory. It would have to be all this lingo that I'm not sure what it means. DVBE, General Engineered License Union Contractor in Northern California. I'm not seeing a lot of cons. I'm seeing a lot of pros to going signatory. I'd love to schedule a meeting with anybody that has experience. So the same thing as grants. I don't have any experience with this. My only thing would be, I'm sure there are lawyers that can talk to you about this, that you can reach out to that have experience. There are probably other construction companies similar to yours that have done it in the past, whether they still continue to do it or whether they opted out of it. Those would be the people that I'd be reaching out to. And so, yes, there are definitely going to be pros and cons to that. You just got to figure out the direction you want to go in your business. And I think that's maybe a challenge with you, is figuring out, do you need a partner? Do you need to be a part of a union? Yes, the people that are part of unions do love them, and people that aren't don't. And so you just got to figure out, does that align with your mission statement and your core values? Can you build a legitimate business on that, a sustainable business? Or are you at the beck and call of somebody else, or at the mercy of somebody else? Do they control everything for you? Only you know those answers. I'm not familiar with this. Hopefully another mentor does. But I would reach out to some legal counsel just to get some opinions or advice. And then again, also people that have done this similar things. And it doesn't have to be in California. There are unions everywhere. So maybe you're in a Facebook group or a community of similar businesses that are construction businesses. I guarantee you there's places like that out there. A simple question in a Facebook group or in a portal or whatever it is will really, I guarantee will get you answers to that. So hopefully that helps. Guys, that's all we have today. I do want to say there are a couple people that continually ask questions every single time I get them, and other mentors get them. And those are the people that are on a trajectory that most people are not. They're continually wanting to learn. They're wanting feedback. They're wanting honest opinions. They're wanting to be coached and mentored. And so for me, when I started out in AO, that was the same way. And so if you guys are struggling, if you're going through things that you're unsure of, this is a great place to ask questions, to get some experience share, and to help put your business on a trajectory that you probably never thought was possible, or that is quicker than you thought you could get there. So other than that, guys, have a great weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. Thank you to anybody that has served in our military and fought for our freedom in the United States. Thank you guys so much. And we'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks.